Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Concession Stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the second live-action adaptation of the Mattel, media franchise, Masters of the Universe, the 2026 version. Almost 40 years since the last attempt to bring the live action He-Man to the big screen that starred Dolph Lundgren as He-Man and also Frank Langella as Skeletor. This go around, you have Nicholas Galitzine playing Prince Adam, aka He-Man, and you have Jared Leto donning the skeleton face of Skeletor this go around in Masters of the Universe. It follows Prince Adam as he returns to his home planet of Eternia to take his destiny as He-Man and save his home from the evil forces of Skeletor. I make no secret about it. I grew up in the 80s. I'm an 80s baby. And so He-Man and Masters of the Universe as a whole was my bag back then when I was a little youngster, as millions of other young boys around that time period. Who didn't know about He-Man? Who didn't play with the action figure? Who didn't play or should I say watch the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon that came on around that time as well? It was the biggest thing there was outside of comic books, because we didn't have comic book movies and stuff like that. We didn't have Disney Plus shows. We had He-Man. You know, that was the superhero that we got to see on a weekly basis. And for those of us of a certain age, we have a special place in our hearts for this property. I mean, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was so big at the time that even girls loved He-Man. My wife loves He-Man. You know, she signed an executive order in our house that I couldn't go see it without her. She was that excited for Masters of the Universe. This film is directed by Travis Knight, who gave us Bumblebee, which is probably one of the better Transformer films. He's also a part of the Leica studio, which gives us those stop motion animated films such as Kubo and the Two Strings, things of that nature. And so this is his third film he's directed. And Travis Knight had said in interviews that he's a big fan of He-Man. And so he really understood, he understood the assignment here. So the only question was he just whistling Dixie? What was this, just whatever? Are we going to get a cheesy adaptation of the film? Now, I'm cut from a different cloth. I don't look at movies or go into movies like everybody else. I go into movies with a certain level of expectation on every movie I see, because I look at the overall thing, the totality of everything. My goal going into Masters of the Universe in 2026, just as long as it's better than Masters of the Universe from 1987. If you can accomplish that task, you're good in my book. So it was a low bar. Don't get me, I understand. It's a low bar, but it's a bar nonetheless, because it could easily had fell under that bar. And certain things that I saw in the trailer leading up to the release of this film, I was kind of like, are we going to get a dumpster fire of a film here? After all this hype for it. Well, let me just put it all out there right now. I loved Masters of the Universe. This movie got it. This movie fully got it. Now, was it perfect? Absolutely not. It was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It has problems throughout that I'm going to talk about, the ones that I can without spoiling. But it was fun. This is fun in the sense, not just that generic review or critique of a film. Oh, like, oh, it was fun, you know. No, this was really fun. This was such a good time. I was smiling the entire movie. I mean, from opening scene till this movie rolled credits at the end, and including the post-credit scene. In case you don't know and hadn't seen it yet, yes, there's a post-credit scene or mid-credit scene, however you want to describe it. But I was cheesed up. This took me back. I mean, honestly, this is I'm not speaking in hyperbole in the least bit. Sitting in the theater and watching this movie play out, I was thrust back to 1985 or 86 or whatever. I was that little kid with his legs folded when I was able to do that. And sitting in front that floor model TV, way too close is probably the reason why I wear these Coke bottle glasses right now, and just fully immersed into that cartoon. And that's how I was sitting in the theater, cheesed up, eating popcorn, and it just could not take my eyes off the screen. It checked all the boxes I wanted it to check. Was it fun? Check. Did it pay homage to the cartoons? Check. Did Nicholas Galazine do an excellent job as He-Man? Check. You know, and then here's the major check. Here's the one that's going to blow your mind. Here's the one that's going to have you sitting there like, this dude is drunk, high, loaded, both, whatever. I don't know, out his mind. But it is the God's honest truth. The best thing about this movie was Jared freaking Leto as Skeletor. The one thing I was worried about, my biggest worry, my biggest concern, the biggest question mark was Jared Leto. Because even though, and I've made this statement multiple times on this show in various reviews whenever I review a film that has Jared Leto in it, I didn't hate Jared Leto's Joker take. I actually liked him as Joker. The movie was just bad, but it wasn't him. You know, he was a different Joker. He wasn't Heath Ledger. He wasn't Joaquin Phoenix. He was that version in that particular universe. That's the Joker. And I actually enjoyed his Joker. Now, once again, was it perfect? No, nothing is. Nothing about it was perfect, but it was enjoyable. And I think if he had enough room to actually do something with it, it probably would have played out a little better. But it was. But anyway, this isn't the Suicide Squad review. But here as Skeletor, I honestly thought, going by the trailers, and they hit it well in the promotions. I got to give it to the marketing team behind this film. It came off as if Jared Leto take of Skeletor was going to be super serious. It just super menacing and serious, and that is not Skeletor. That's not your daddy Skeletor. Skeletor is a clown. He really is. He cracks jokes. He's just he's not a goofball in a sense like he's a bumbling minion or something like that. No, he doesn't take himself too seriously, you know. And that's the joke. I mean, the Joker. Jesus, that's Skeletor. And going off of the cadence of his voice, I'm talking about Jared Leto here, and all that was in the trailer. I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna that is not gonna fit the tone of this film. And then you sit down and watch the film. He is everything you remembered about the 80s cartoon run. he cracks jokes. I mean, multiple ones, and they land. That's the best part about it. The jokes actually land. He is so good as Skeletor. I know this is weird because the man won an Academy Award, but I honestly think this is Jared Leto's best work ever. Now, does that mean he's going to get an Academy Award for playing Skeletor? No. I'm just saying this was his best. He stole the movie. Honestly, stole the movie. One of the gripes I have about this film, and I have a few, but one of my biggest gripes about this film was he wasn't in it enough. That was the problem. If it was more Skeletor in here, man, this would have been like one of the best films of the year type categories, you know? He was that good as Skeletor. So much fun watching him on screen. Every time he got on the screen, he took it over. He was menacing when he needed to be menacing. He was unserious when he was it was everything was there that I remembered from the cartoons. And man, it almost brings a tear to my eye that they nailed that so perfectly. Another aspect that they nailed perfectly was the casting of Nicholas Galazine. I don't know anything about it. This was the first time I seen him in anything. I know he's been on shows and appeared in films before, but this is my first time ever watching him. He did an awesome job as Prince Adam and as He-Man. And I say it in that sense because the filmmakers here, Travis Knight and Nicholas Galazine, did an excellent job of separating the two. It's almost like Bruce Wayne Batman, Clark Kent and Superman, you know, Peter Parker, Spider-Man. They did a great job of separating these two, even though they're the same person, just like the heroes I stated just a few seconds ago. But we all know it's the same person. Everybody knows it's the same person. But when he's He-Man, he's He-Man. You know, it just subtle little things they did. They fluffed up his hair a little more. Of course, they displayed his muscles a little more. You know, he was more confident as He-Man as per Prince Adam, where he was more of a recluse. You know, it's just subtle little things they did. The way he holds his head up higher, it just subtly. It reminded me, and in no sense am I saying this performance is up there with this performance I'm about to mention, but I'm just doing a comparison of Christopher Reeve's portrayal of Superman in the 1978 film. When he was Clark versus when he was Superman, different people, completely different people. And Christopher Reeves was so perfect. Nobody has yet to nail that perfectly. I don't care if it was Brandon Routh or Henry Cavill or who's the new cat, David Cornsweet. They have yet to find an actor to nail this perfectly. Christopher Reeves, he will slump his shoulders or put his head in his shoulders and keep his head down, and he'll walk differently. You know, he looks like a geek. He looked like a complete buffoon as Clark Kent. And when he took the glasses off, I think he did this in Superman 2 when he was about to reveal it to Lois. And he took off the glasses, and when he took off the glasses, he just stood up straight. And it was like he was 6 inches taller, and he looked like a different person. I'm like, how did they do this? But it's similar to that, but not to that level, you know. But Nicholas did a great job as He-Man. Just to round out the cast, Camila Mendez was good. Idris Elba as Man-At-Arms was, I mean, come on, that's money. Oh, I'm sorry, let me correct myself. Sir Idris Elba. He was just knighted by Prince Charles, or is it King Charles now? Whatever. Yeah, he was just knighted. So it's Sir Idris Elba. Alison Brie as Evil Lynn. She wasn't bad, but it's like she was underused in this movie. You know, she didn't have much to do, so it's really nothing to write home and tell mother about. But everybody else was fine. The cast was fine. I love the way they incorporated the names of the characters. You know, Trapjaw and Fisto and Man Ram or Ram Man. What was the Mechaneck? That guy. It was awesome to see him. That was an awesome little surprise because I didn't know going into this that they were gonna have that character. Mechaneck was like a weird toy to have. But I remember I had that toy. But I like how they gave the names. That was a cute little innovative way to give them those nicknames. The fight sequences was awesome. The action was awesome. But I want to get to the negatives. You know, I've been speaking so glowingly about this film for about 10 minutes. I need to go ahead and let it out. Like I said, the movie isn't perfect. It has its problems. And part of the problems is some of the jokes. Some of the jokes didn't really get over with me. You know, well, let me back that up. Let me rephrase that. I apologize. Let me rephrase that. The jokes landed, but the problem was they kept telling the same joke. You know, certain jokes, they kept going with it. For example, the Fisto one. We all we all know how many jokes you can make about Fisto. And there's a million jokes you can make about Fisto. Why we had to hear him in this film, all of them in this film, I don't know. We got it the first time. The first time, it was funny. But they kept going and going, and it never stopped. Literally, till the end of the movie, it kept going. And it's like, why are we still making these stupid jokes? You know, that is mind-boggling to me. How they made it in the pass of a screenplay. And then you had a moment at the end of the film where it was so cute and funny. I'm not gonna lie, it's cheesy as all cheese, but this is based on an 80s property. The 80s was pure cheese. Now, back in the 80s, it wasn't considered cheese. It was considered 80s. So, you know, but here it's cheesy. If you do it now, it's cheesy. But if you pay homage to it, it's fine. But you kept doing it. It's the final scene of the movie. I'm going to try to talk around it, dance around it, so I don't spoil it. But there was a moment. There was a comedic moment at the end, you know, after our heroes stand tall or whatever, and they pay homage to the 80s cartoons in such a perfect way. I couldn't do anything but laugh. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. That's so brilliant. And then we cut over and there's a conversation that takes place for about 2 minutes. And then we go back to where they were, where we had this moment, and they start that moment all over again. And I'm like, okay, in the movie. Just in the movie. Because why are we still going with this? It was funny the first time. You don't have to reiterate. We got it. We got it. It's moments like that was just so frustrating. It was like, my God, man, we get the point. I know you're trying to spoon feed because this is a quote unquote kids property, but the kids that you're entertaining here are mid 40-year-old men, you know. These are a bunch of 40-year-olds up in the theater watching this because that's the audience. That's who grew up with this. Now, the little kids who are that the 40-year-olds are bringing to this, as parents, not as Epstein, uh, but anyways, who's bringing to this? Most of these jokes aren't meant for those little kids, so you're not gonna sit there and tell me that this was meant to be for kids. Nah, dumb jokes, especially involving Fisto, that those didn't like. Then there was one that involved Ram Man, and that wasn't a real kid appropriate joke either. It'll probably go over most kids' heads, but these days probably not. It'll probably go over the parents' heads, but not the kids. But that's my biggest thing. It was too many jokes. The only one who was telling jokes and it landed each and every time was Jared Leto as Skeletor, because when he told a joke, he told it, and it wasn't meant to be a joke. It wasn't a forced joke. It was an organic moment, and they moved on. That's the way it's supposed to go. The other ones felt forced, and that's where I kind of disconnected a little bit when those moments happen. But I think that's it for the negatives. I still have more positives to go through. I can't finish this review without mentioning the score. The score here by Daniel Pepperman was amazing. He did the score for Across the Spider-Verse and many other films, but I loved his Across the Spider-Verse score. But he did the score for this, and it was phenomenal. Phenomenal. It was so good that because they used the guitarist for Queen, Brian May, I believe his name is. They used him as the guitarist for this score, to give it that 80s vibe. And man, it worked. It worked. It uplifted this film perfectly. And this is what scores are supposed to do. This is why they say films are such a collaborative thing. We see on the marquee directed by Travis Knight or directed by Steven Spielberg, directed by Christopher Nolan. Yes, they are phenomenal filmmakers, but they would be nothing without their crew. There'll be nothing without their cinematographer or their composer or their actors. It needs to be a collaborative thing in order for a film to work. And the score of this film worked perfectly. It fit like a glove over this film. Like I said, there's two post-credit scenes. I said one, but there's two post-credit scenes in this movie. Be sure to stay for it. I'll say that if you grew up watching the cartoons, playing with the action figures, 9 times out of 10, you're going to love it. If you're just a casual fan, you'll probably be like, eh. But me personally, being a big He-Man fan, the majority of my life, I had a ball. And I will say this, and I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just going to say that they pay one of the greatest homages I have ever seen to the 1987 film. And it was so unexpected. Didn't see it coming. Honestly, I didn't. It wasn't spoiled for me, thank God. And I'm not going to spoil it for you. But it was awesome. It was so beautiful, so subtle. And all I can do is say bravo. Bravo. Is early on in the film, so be on the lookout for it. But it is perfectly placed in this movie. We'll see how this film does. I don't think it's gonna blow the box office wide open. My theater was kind of skittish. It didn't have it wasn't packed in my theater, unfortunately. But I hope that this movie turns a profit. I hope that we continue on with this franchise, because it was a really good film. You can clearly see that they're setting up future films in the franchise if this movie is successful. They did set up without blatantly setting it up. You know, this was basically a borderline, or well, it wasn't borderline. This was an origin story, and now that we got all that out the way, we can go full-fledged He-Man throughout. But I give Masters of the Universe a letter grade of a strong B plus. Strong B plus. It came close to A minus, but I settled on B plus because there are, like I said, all the negatives that I mentioned, and then it ran a little too long. This movie is like 2 hours and 15 minutes or something like that. They could have easily shaved off about 20 easily. But aside from that, this movie was a real good time. Charming, exciting, action-packed, funny at times, and emotional at times as well. Also unexpected, but I highly recommend it. I would like to know, what did you think of Masters of the Universe? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you think the 87 film was better? If it was, we need to talk. How did we talk? Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for me on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Don't forget about YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of the latest adaptation of Mattel's popular action figure collection, Masters of the Universe. I want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.